What the heck is wrong with 17 states? Have they lost their minds? We are this close to getting rid of the electric vehicle mandate. No more $7,500 tax credit. You get to pick what you want to drive, and 17 moronic states, which includes Washington, D.C., don't even go there, have said, no, we're going to sue the government. We want the mandate in. Really? Wasn't there just an election in November? There was a mandate to get rid of it.
But before we dive into these 17 states suing the Trump administration, we want to remind you to like and subscribe to this podcast so that you can keep up on all of the deep dive, juicy information that we dig into here so that you know what's going on in the automotive world.
And all the car reviews live on Car Smarts because a lot of you have asked, when are your car reviews? We're still putting out 2 to 3 car reviews a week, and they all live on Car Smarts.
The links for that and everything else is down below. And let's jump into the story right after a word from our sponsor.
Maybe you've heard of collagen and its benefits, but you haven't tried it yet. Here's why you should. Collagen is a unique protein that naturally declines as we age, and you can improve your levels significantly by boosting your bone strength and soothing joint pain. And it minimizes wrinkles and cellulite, enhances hair follicle thickness, and even helps reverse nail damage. I started seeing changes in just a few weeks. For my viewers, there's an incredible deal available offering up to 45% off this bone, joint, and ligament restoring formula. Just head over to getnativepathcollagen.com/Lauren. That's getnativepathcollagen.com/Lauren for that special 45% off and free shipping. Okay, here's the current update. The CRA, the Congressional Review Act, has passed the House, bipartisan. Excellent news. That's House Joint Resolution 87, which reverses the EPA mandate. Yes. Resolution 88, which aims to undo the California Clean Air Act waiver, which would ban gasoline-powered vehicle sales by 2035. Also, Resolution 89, which targets California's nitrogen oxide standards for heavy-duty vehicles because we weren't allowing heavy-duty trucks at all to run in the state. And Resolution 60, which was a little different one, and it was unrelated but related. It was about Glen Canyon National Park recreational area, saying that they couldn't use any off-road vehicles. Once that passed the House, immediately it was delivered to the Senate. Now, the Senate got it, and the parliamentarian, who's all about the rules, said, we can't do anything with the CRA. You got to change it to a rules. Fine. They literally voted the day they got it to convert it from a CRA, a Congressional Review Act,
from an adjudicated order,
right,
which was argued by the government
parliamentarian.
The Senate parliamentarian argued that it was a rule, and the GAO argued that it was adjudicated order. And this vote meant that it's a rule. Why does that matter? It matters because if it's an adjudicated order, then the Senate can do whatever they want, or EPA can do whatever it wants, and just apply another waiver to California because the Senate voted
immediately.
Yes, right. It was very quick, and we covered this in a video.
It was bipartisan too, which I was surprised.
Mostly bipartisan. It was a really good move. The reason why it's important that it's a rule now is that means that the EPA cannot make another rule that's similar enough. There's very specific language, but it's similar enough.
They can't reinstate
to this rule itself. So they can't say, oh, we're going to give them another waiver. They would have to go some crazy roundabout legal way to give them another waiver of some different variety to allow California to set the standards for the U.S.
Right. Now, remember that you could say, well, when President Trump's out of office, the next president, whoever that may be, and no one could tell at this point, but let's say whoever it is, let's say it's the other party, they could say, we're going to put these rules back into place. We're going to put this mandate back into place.
That would require the Senate to then pass a bill that would allow that to happen.
But it's 3/4 of the House and the Senate.
Yep.
So the odds of this going back into play are like really, really slim. So now it's in the hands of the Senate. The Senate on May 5th got it, and they agreed to turn it into a rules, which means they can then remove the mandate from California and remove all of it. But what's odd...
prevent them from putting it back into place easily.
Right. So, interestingly, on that same day, and I just found this out literally before we went live, they did pass immediately Resolution 60, which is the Unrelated Emissions Act that allows and lifts the off-road vehicles in Glen Canyon National Recreation Area to allow them to bring vehicles back in. So that went through right away. But for some reason, they tabled House Resolution, well, the rules now, which is Senate 31, 87, 88, and 89 for the House side, but it's now called Senate. It's a Senate Package 31. I'm monitoring it literally daily. This week they were supposed to vote and they didn't. But what did happen this week is 17 states, and you're probably in one of them because we live in one of them. They said, no, you know what? We're going to sue the Trump administration and we're going to say, you know what? We want that money. We want that mandate. But when I mentioned this to you, you said there's probably 3 reasons they want it to stay in place.
There are, and let me tell you. But first, if you're curious what these states are,
This is interesting.
aside from California, this is Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Minnesota, Nevada, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, our lovely state, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Vermont, Virginia, Washington, and the territory?
District.
District, thank y'all, of the Washington District of Columbia, of course,
Right.
it's a district, not a territory. Pardon. So those are all the places that have signed on with California, and they've said we agree that your move for your California Air Resource Board, the rules that you've put in place, are the right move for the United States for a variety of reasons, and I will get into what Lauren just prompted me in a moment.
Go for it.
So, whatever the motivation may be, essentially what they've said is they agree with California and they want the exact same rules. And as we've mentioned 100 times at this point, any manufacturer that actually wants to stay in business, which is, of course, all of them,
Sure.
will make one vehicle for the entirety of the United States, because
Even if they take a loss,
which
they are,
because they're not
except for
going to
Tesla.
make one vehicle for the majority of states and another vehicle for the 17 other states, or the 18 other states, includes California.
Plus the district.
It's not, plus the district. It's not going to happen. Even is
So
California.
that means we're all forced to swallow the bitter pill.
California's economy currently is bigger than Japan's, and
That's crazy.
That's actually because Japan's economy took a slight dive.
But still, that's big economy.
Yeah, the California economy is absolutely enormous, especially for vehicle sales. So they wield all of this power, plus they have the blessing of the EPA that was given, and that power was given to them by Obama and Biden.
Correct. And now the EPA is now run by Lee Zeldin, who is trying to undo all this and many other very foolish rules, regulations, and
it is a crazy legal process to get all of this
he'll get
done.
it done. He's an attorney. He's very smart.
But
Lee
yeah,
knows
he is that
exactly what to do.
These vehicles are damaging these manufacturers irreversibly. They're putting
look at the
billions of
losses.
dollars in, and they're not getting their returns. And now sales in the U.S. are 8% electric vehicles as of this past year.
Yep.
And
Certainly not 50% like President Obama wanted.
And the current speculation, some scientists did some energy
Are
experts
those
did
the
some
same scientists that said, okay,
No.
I won't even go there. I'm not going there.
It's if we meet
Fill in the blank.
10% of total vehicle sales, or total vehicles on the road, which is obviously a lot higher than just percent of sales per year. But if we hit 10% of vehicles on the road are electric, we're going to have rolling blackouts daily.
California already has rolling blackouts
Yes.
daily.
It seems that
And
way.
we've had it in New York. I've been in New York City at
At
a
least-
brownout and blackouts,
least
and
have-
it's not good.
They at least have very common brownouts.
Yeah.
So, okay. So why
They had brownouts in Florida even.
So why would these states want to sign on with these CARB rules?
Well,
Okay, here's my
3 reasons we discussed this, and we both went, oh, we got to do a podcast on this.
So here's my 3. The first one is the people that are in charge in the states.
We'll call them blue states.
Well, it's mostly blue states.
Well, there really are no
couple
states that are blue. There's just larger blue populations in
Well,
cities.
there's some blue states, there's some purple states. It's regardless.
Yeah.
The states
They
that I
leaning
the
one way or
states
the
that I listed, either the leadership, and it's not just the governor. It's there's a lot of levels to this leadership.
Legislation.
There's experts that are involved, and there's people that are in Congress
money
and Senate.
involved.
There's money involved. Okay, so, but there are some people that truly believe that these electric vehicles are going to save the planet. And they've looked at some research, they've listened to some experts, and they've
It
said,
did really well in Illinois over last winter. If I remember, there was a lot of people that left their Teslas just at charging stations and said, "I'm done."
but even
Not
that,
just Teslas, literally any electric car.
but even regardless of the practicality of the car, they truly believe that gas cars are killing the planet and that electric cars are going to save the planet. Now,
Right.
now we've done another podcast talking about we've done a lot of videos as well, talking about the harms of the creation of EV vehicles and the power
Batteries.
that's
the
generated to be able to charge those batteries, and then the danger of those batteries if something happens to them is so much higher than a gas vehicle.
Well, how about all the rare earth
Yeah.
minerals, which, let me correct
And the
that.
mining, yes.
The mining of minerals. It's not rare earth minerals. We can mine them here. We don't mine them here in the
It's
U.S.
dangerous.
because do you want to have cobalt in the air where you live? It'll kill you.
Plus, it's cheaper to get it from other countries because they've already developed
Third
all the
world
mines and
countries
everything's-
owned by, mines are by China.
So, yes, maybe their logic is flawed, but regardless, these people in power truly believe with all of their heart that this is the way forward. Okay, that's number one.
Okay.
Number two,
Mhm.
there are some people that believe that controlling the populace is
Like the World Economic Forum and all the rest of
and
it.
they've made public statements saying
Yes.
exactly
It's
that.
on their website.
You will own nothing and you will be happy.
Not
and,
me.
And what restricts movement more than an electric vehicle?
Right, because you can't go that far. And when you stop to charge, I know where you are because you're not there for 7 minutes like I am. I fill up the tank in my vehicle and I'm out.
Yeah.
Maybe with a Monster Energy and a protein bar. But for people with electric cars, you got to hope that no one's at the charging station blocking it, one of the many charging stations. And a lot of those charging stations were supposed to be put in under the Biden administration.
Yep.
They had $8 billion. And how many charging stations did they build?
One.
Oh, and then they now claim there's 3.
So
You just paid a lot of money. Your tax
hold
dollars.
on, we're not at the money yet.
Oh,
You're jumping the gun. Hold on.
Sorry,
So number
sorry,
two,
sorry,
number
go ahead.
two is there are people that want control.
Yes, absolutely.
They have
Control
ulterior
the people.
motives, and they are influencing people in power, or they are the people in power, one of the two. And they believe that, what can I do to control the populace? Well, I'm going to make the roads narrower. Road diets. We
Well,
talked
they
about
now
that.
call them something else, but a road diet is a 4-lane road that you've had always 2 lanes going each direction. Then suddenly there's 1 lane in each direction and the big center lane.
Oh, and
for
bike
turning
lanes on the side
and
and
bike-
parking.
Yes,
And
and
yeah,
bike lanes.
which is great if
And
you're in
all
a
the
city
states
environment.
are putting that in because they did that here where we live.
Yeah.
And everyone gets peeved. And what ends up happening is you're basically tailgating the guy in front of you who's going well below the speed limit. And then I almost every day, see someone just go, screw it. And they pass across the center median because this person is the keeper of the speed. And I'm not going to let you go faster than the 30 miles an hour it's supposed to be. And the towns all go this. I've talked to the people in charge of the town. They go, well, it's to get you to slow down to look at the businesses that are there
so it does.
you can stop and purchase something.
So it
I'm
just,
not going to stop and purchase something because
There
you're
is a
never
psych-
going to get to where you're supposed to be.
there's a psychological component that if the road is narrower, then it actually does make you slow down.
True, because the idiot in front of you is holding the speed limit
So
and making you go below the speed limit and getting pissed off.
now I want to clarify, there are areas where having something like that is safer and
Sure,
better.
absolutely. In like little communities where you're going down, you got these nice little stores.
Yes, it is a city street.
Yeah.
There, yes.
But
there
on
are
a,
people walking,
road where there's homes set way back off the
or
road.
even like where
Doesn't
one of
make
our
sense.
roads, it links 2 town centers, and there's nothing in between.
But there's a
And
road
what-
diet.
And they went from 4 lanes to 1 on, well, 2 lanes either way to 1 lane either way, and it's
And
horrible.
a bike lane that no one has used in the 5 years they put. I've
God,
never,
I have never seen a bike.
I've never seen a person walk or
Never
bike. No
once.
one walking a dog. Nothing. Just
And the extra parking area on the side, and nobody
you know what
parks
it's
on the
good for in
road.
the winter. It's a great place to put the snow when they plow the
Actually,
road.
that is true.
That's a
Yeah. which you can't see the lines
And
anyway.
you can't see it anyhow. Then it becomes 2 lanes because the center lane's being used
Right.
also.
Okay. So they narrow the roads. They restrict your movement.
They
give you-
aggravate
They
people.
give you an electric vehicle because it can't go as far. Good luck going on road trips. It takes you forever. Oh, you know what? Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll stay here.
Oh, it's
Maybe I'll live in my 5-minute city or 10-minute city.
No, 15-minute
15-minute city.
That's the
Whatever.
whole 15-minute cities by week. You can look it up online. It's
Yes.
on the World Economic Forum. It's also got its own
Oh,
website.
the wall. Have you heard about the wall?
Yes.
Everybody's going to live in a wall.
No, they're gonna wall you
In the
into
middle
a
of the
city,
desert. You're
and you
gonna go to a
can't.
wall.
Gosh, this reminds me of
So
a
this-
movie called Logan's Run.
Oh my gosh.
That's like from the late 70s, where they all were born with little green jewels on their hands. And when you reach the age of 35, you dive into the pit. But the people that tell you to dive in the pit are all older.
Without going too sci-fi, you're right, but you're
I
without going
know.
too
I
sci-fi.
feel like Princess Bride. Ha ha!
Aha.
I hope you're laughing. at home.
Inconceivable. So the point is that like there's all of these things, and some of them are like, well, that's a conspiracy, and we've covered a lot of this stuff. A lot of this stuff is real. It's really real. There
It's not a
are
conspiracy theory if it's true.
That's true. And there's a lot of this stuff that has come out, and the World Economic Forum's talked about it. The World Health Organization's talked about it.
Yep.
Countries from around the world, governors, energy experts, political experts. There's so much conversation going on
Mhm.
about restricting your freedom, all in the name of, well, it's for your own benefit. And electric vehicles.
Whose benefit?
It
It's their
seems like-
benefit, not our
exactly.
benefit.
Electric vehicles, it seems like, is a major component of this because the lie that gas vehicles are killing the earth when planes and boats and factories produce far more CO2 than
I'm
an
not
electric-
getting in an electric
regular
plane.
gas
I
vehicle.
refuse to get into an
No,
electric
no,
plane.
they're not going to do that.
They're true. They are testing it. There's
Well,
somebody
sure.
out there making them, but
But they're not
I'm
going
going to put
to.
300 people in an electric plane. It's not going to go very
Yeah.
far. But maybe that's part of the restriction.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But then there's studies coming out, and there's people that are talking about it, and they're getting silenced that
Oh,
gas cars are not the problem, and not only
They
that,
try to silence me all the time.
but the planet needs CO2. In fact, there was a recent study that I read, and I need more information about it before I just go on and say that this is absolutely true. But there was a study that I read that said that the world is actually lacking in CO2, and that plants aren't able to absorb enough to keep them healthy to produce more
Do
oxygen.
you mean basic science where the plants give us oxygen and we give,
Photosynthesis.
and we give them something back so that we can have a balance? What are you talking about? England's talking about blocking the sun. Morons.
Oh yeah, they are.
Why
And it's
would you
already
do
cloudy there all the time.
We've been there. We've been there for Goodwood. You've been there many times before me.
Yeah.
And then of
It
course it
does-
rains there a
It does
lot.
rain quite. I would say that there in Seattle, it does rain quite a bit.
So we do need the sun.
Yes.
Otherwise the plants can't grow because they need water and sun.
Mm.
But that's weird. What a
But you
weird
see how all these things
concept.
are connecting together,
Right,
so
it's
that
like
eventually
control.
these politicians that are putting these rules into place have more control. Okay. Ready
Okay.
for number 3?
Yes,
We
I want
jumped ahead on it early.
Sorry, I'm so fired up on this.
I know, I
we were just flipping out when we heard this. Go ahead. Number 3.
If we get heat for this, I don't care. Put it in the
Put in
comments.
the comments below. And by the way, I am being suppressed on X, so make sure to follow @LaurenFix. He's @PaulFix3.
Yep.
I have not grown or shrunk the same amount. I think no one even sees my stuff on Twitter anymore.
Well, we've definitely said that we don't like Elon a couple of times in the
Well,
past.
If you like him, great. If you don't, great. Want to
His-
buy his car? Awesome.
His
Go
car-
buy him.
No, don't. I don't. Like
I wouldn't buy one, but if
Mhm.
you want to, you should be able
Okay,
to.
so we were just talking about this in the last episode. The build quality's gotten better, but I still don't like how there's. I need. They should put something in front of the.
It's looking better. They
It
did
is.
an update.
The updates look better.
All right.
There needs to be a screen in front of the steering wheel. That's a conversation for another time.
Right. But
Okay.
that's true.
So number 3.
Number 3. Sorry to make you wait. I'm sure you're going, get to number 3. The big
Very, very famous statement. Always follow the money.
always.
Always follow the money.
That's the first thing. He's giving me his 1 and 2, and we're talking in the driveway at our house, and I said,
It's the money.
it's the money.
It's always the money.
It's always the money.
So,
Somebody's making money.
all right, let's
So let's follow the money.
let's think about how many billions of dollars have been invested in electric vehicle infrastructure and how much of it has not worked out.
So that's what the
That's step
lawsuit,
1.
but that's the lawsuit is about from these 17 states.
Mhm.
They got together and said, we don't want you to remove the mandate. As a matter of fact, we want you to reinstate, put that money that Doge took out. They were all upset about,
Mhm.
supposedly.
Well, it also
That's a whole other story. I don't believe that that's really what it
I don't think it was
was.
just Doge. I think it was also Trump and
No,
Sullivan and
I
EPA
think
'cause
I
they
think someone
they
got
look
paid because if you want a job, just go on to like Craigslist and you can be a protester and they'll pay you.
No, that's not what I meant. I meant the repealing of the money itself.
Right. Well, that's from the EPA.
Yeah.
That
So
was
this
like
they have
day
yeah,
one.
so
Lee Zeldin
yes,
said,
so
this is
actual
gone.
yeah.
So they want their money because that money that's supposed to be going, that $8 billion is supposed to be going to put in infrastructure and put in charging stations. They didn't.
3 has
Where's
already
the
been
money?
available. Yeah.
Where's the money?
So 3.3 billion of it has been made available.
So where's the money?
And now it's been rescinded. And we don't know yet how much these states have used, but we
No, they're going to say all of it.
well, to be fair, look, there's a very
money.
there's a great story I saw on oh gosh, I'm forgetting his name at the moment. I'm so sorry. There's he has like a channel talking about how regulation's gone rampant, and he interviewed some people about building a bathroom in a New York City park that should have cost $500,000 for all the materials and the
Shouldn't
and the,
even
and the
cost that much.
paperwork,
It's a
everything.
bathroom. Put up a latrine.
Yeah, it was a large bathroom with men's and women's sides and all that stuff in a park, and it should have cost about $500,000, and it ended up costing like $10 million.
Yes, that's California for you because
No, New York
somebody's making
no,
money.
that was New York City.
Was it New York City?
But of course, because
It was
it's
a
the same
public
thing.
restroom
It's the
besides
yes,
in New
yes,
York
it's the
City.
same
Like,
thing.
I'm not going in there. And it ended up being a drug den once they finally got it.
I'm sure I wouldn't
They
be
said it was
surprised.
disgusting. It was really looked like it belonged in a prison cell.
I wouldn't be surprised
Yeah.
at all. So before we get to
Where's the money?
right, so exactly, where's
Show
the
me the
Where's the
money.
money going?
Show me the money.
Show me the money,
There
but
you
also follow the money. So let's get to the lawsuit in just a moment, because it's not just the government giving money, giving taxpayer dollars to these places
There's
to
other money changing
to
hands.
push the agenda to allow them to build infrastructure. There's also the automotive manufacturers. There are third party companies. There are battery companies. There are transportation companies. There's
other
green
government
companies. There's recycling companies. There's a lot of money that's been pushed into the development of battery technology and electric motors.
Yes, and that doesn't mean it has to go away. It means that you should have choices.
No, but
You want electric
you're
car
in
or
an
plug-in
emerging market,
hybrid?
you know.
Right. You want a gasoline-powered diesel, whatever that may be, or my favorite diesel hybrid, which I keep talking to manufacturers about, and they're going, "Oh,
Some trucks do that.
yes," but I'm saying,
Edison Motors.
Right.
There's a Canadian guy who's on TikTok,
Mhm.
and he's fed up with his truck not working, so he decided to make his own company. And
Smart
and
idea.
and, and it,
I
and
like
he
engine.
was
I
ori-
love the
he was originally going
ingenuity.
to do diesel, then he was going to do all electric, and then he realized, why don't I just put a diesel motor on the truck, and he's restoring old trucks,
Yep.
generating power and pushing it directly to the electric battery, so you have one seamless energy push.
That's
And then
brilliant.
and then you just fill up the diesel tank, and it keeps charging it.
Right.
So and you
You mean
still
like a
get
Prius, but it's diesel
and you still
instead?
get like
a
70 miles to the gallon, or whatever
Exactly.
the estimate may be.
Now I
But
know
it's
that
great.
Hyundai makes that a diesel hybrid, and a couple other manufacturers do as well, and they sell them in other countries, but we don't get them here.
No, I think that there's probably some regulation. We'd have to
It
go
might
dig it.
come here.
I think there's some regulation
I did
preventing
talk
it.
to a product planner, I won't say what brand, very recently, and they said, "We hear you've been talking about this," which is nice to know that car manufacturers are listening to us.
Yes.
I do make a statement when I speak. So, but I do get a chance to have
Everybody
dinner
does
with
one.
them. I've been doing this a long time. I'll have dinner at some of these drive events where I go to review the cars, and I get a chance to sit down and talk to people and lead planners, product planners, and so forth. And I suggested it to them, and they said, that's not a bad idea. We did hear you talk about that, but now that we've had a chance to discuss it,
Yeah.
the wheels are turning because these product planners are working 5 years ahead. And they were
Yeah. Takes a long
saying,
time.
you know what? It would be cleaner tailpipe emissions than that of gasoline or gasoline hybrid.
Yes. Because
And
clean diesel is the
right.
best of all of the options for emissions actually coming out the
But
tailpipe.
Volkswagen really screwed the pooch on that
And
one.
if you're doing yeah, they really did. It's just so unfortunate because
we
we
would
love
have
our
been-
diesels. We love our diesels.
We
Our
both-
diesel Cayennes are so good.
And so they're Volkswagens, 3-liter diesels. So here's the interesting thing. That would still be around today if some engineers didn't overpromise and underdeliver. And because of that, it blew up on Volkswagen. And this is how we're going to bring this full circle. So hold on. So they promised something they couldn't deliver, which was no AdBlue, no urea in the exhaust, and it's going to work and we have to put those tanks in. So, of course, executives are like, do it.
Yeah.
So they started doing it, and they realized they couldn't do it without cheating the system. They got caught by some kids from University of Virginia, or someone leaked it to them, or we don't know, but whatever it was, they got caught.
I think they were doing a test for a senior project or something.
Right,
and
but
they
the
ended up using
fines
their
were
own
excessive,
system, yeah.
and they should be, because they
Billions.
lied.
Billions and billions. Tons of people went to
Actually,
jail.
some executives went to jail.
A bunch of them, yeah.
And I'm sure the people who said, oh, we can do this, they're, well, then out of a job.
Yeah.
But the penalty was for them to create an electric car infrastructure for charging.
That
So
was forced upon them.
Electrify
America?
America is owned by Volkswagen.
Yeah.
So when have you ever heard of a fine where you get to create a company out of the fine, as well as paying some money, to create another company that makes money?
Yeah, but there's not
That gets
making money.
government subsidies.
It's not making money. It's
Right, but it
only
gets
making money
government subsidies.
That's how it's making
That's
money.
to follow the money. That's why they want it, because
Yeah.
all these companies are getting government subsidies, and they're really good at
Yeah.
moving it around, whether it goes through USAID or through the EPA or through
Oh,
the
wait.
DOT
I
or
got
through
another one.
whatever. Yeah.
What about the companies that, not just the OEMs,
Mhm.
but all of the ancillary companies
Yes.
that are building stuff in these 18 states?
Yeah,
17
sure, it's
California plus
jobs.
17.
But that doesn't mean they're going to go away.
Right, but you
Well,
take away the
Tesla?
EV mandate, maybe a company fails,
Well, you
maybe
mean
then
like
you lose
Fisker that already failed?
but maybe then you lose a major economic
Bollinger
powerhouse
failed.
that is in your state. Ooh,
Well, they may not make it anyhow.
that's what
I mean,
but
we
the
can.
point
I
is,
can.
like,
Faraday Futures, which is the one we were trying to
yeah,
think of.
yeah.
You got Fisker. We listed on the last podcast all these companies that had gone out of business.
Mhm.
Local Motors.
Oh, yeah.
There's a ton of them, and we've talked to all of them. And the thing is, that's not necessarily the jobs. What we're talking about is bringing jobs back because of the tariffs. Things are moving along as we speak now. We already know that there's a deal in place with the UK. We're close to a deal with China, it looks like. We got other deals going down that we're going to hear about in the next few days. My guess, Japan, India, and South Korea. Big countries that we do a lot of business with, and they're going to work something out. And of course, you got that North American Free Trade Agreement, the USMCA. That's going to get renegotiated as well. That'll be a Canada-Mexico thing. So while everyone's flipping out, and the mainstream media is telling, oh my God, car prices are going to go up by 25%, they're not telling you the truth. We will always tell you the truth. We will always cover the facts, and you're always going to get it straight. We're not going to candy coat anything. If it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. But you need to know, why are they suing the government, which they'll probably lose.
So this is where we started. And
Back
let's
to the
get
money.
to-
The money.
It is really
It's
the money.
always about
So why don't
the money.
you tell us more about the states suing the federal government and what's going on with that?
Well, the lawsuit is, it's a group, and they're going to try and go after the EPA to mandate that they bring money back to them. That money would come from the EPA, but the EPA has cut a lot of costs, and they found a lot of money going to weird places. That when Stacey Abrams had in Georgia, and I'm sure there's a bunch of others. So we have to track the money down. I'm sure Lee Zeldin did, because it goes through weird departments. Like Sean Duffy's in charge of the Department of Transportation. Part of it could be going through the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. Part of it could be going through the DOT, Department of Transportation. And part of it could be going through the Environmental Protection Agency, which is Lee Zeldin's. Then you got the GAO, and you've also got, I forgot his name.
Oh yeah, the Government Accountability Office.
Yes,
I was
but
trying to remember what the acronym stood
I
for.
can't think of his name.
Who's
He's Interior, Secretary of Interior.
Oh yes.
Doug Burgum.
Mm.
He's another one. So there's so many departments involved. And what I find interesting when you go and look deep into this is that the tentacles of this octopus, they're like a tree root. They're just in 100 different departments intentionally, so it's so difficult to undo it. So why they go to sue them, I don't think they're going to have success. And I'm hoping that this week, and I'll be following it, and you can follow us, that we really need to truly make sure, call, write, email, whatever you have to do. Be kind. Get a hold of your senator and say, we want this to pass.
And if you need help with that, you can go to the SEMA Action Network. That's SEMA Action Network. They are a legal branch of the Specialty
Equipment Marketing
Association.
We used to be
Market
manufacturers,
Association.
yeah, but
No, it was never.
But it's all the
anyway.
aftermarket parts.
Yes. So they're the guys that have the big show in Las Vegas every year, and they do a lot of aftermarket support. but they also have a legal arm that goes after the government that trying to protect classic vehicles, the right for you to repair your car, the right
Or
for you to
modify your car.
the right for you to have access to the technology inside of your car instead of making it totally closed source. They're trying to get that across.
That's
And
true.
this-
Apex. That's true.
and this is
AI, the Automotive Aftermarket Industry Association. They're doing right to repair, which is also more information that you should have access to
This-
that they're trying to deny you.
yes. So
Be-
go look up AAIA,
Right.
Apex.
Right. And right to
And-
repair.
Yeah, right to repair, SEMA. If you want to do something about this, SEMA has a link on their social pages. I'm sure it's on their website,
It
on
is,
their
yeah.
legal site. And you can
SEMA.org.
and it will automatically write a letter for you.
Yeah,
You don't
you
have to
just
do
put
anything.
your name in.
I did it the other day.
Yeah, I did
And
too.
You put your name in, it automatically sends a message out to your
Senators
representative
and
and
your
your
senators.
senator
Yep.
because you put in your address and then because you have to anyway.
Right.
In order for you to send that message, like they need to confirm who you are, that you actually live there. And it will send that message, and I got messages back from my representative and my
Really?
senator. Yes,
Is that
I already did.
Schumer and Gillibrand?
That was Schumer and
Gillibrand.
no, Nick
Langworthy.
Langworthy.
He's a representative.
Yes. So well,
I don't think I'm.
because you and I live in different towns.
I am not holding my breath when it comes to Chuck Schumer.
Yeah.
So nor Gillibrand,
No, but at least so yeah, mine went to
the
Gillibrand.
two senators.
Yes,
Yeah.
in Buffalo, New York.
Because,
So
because they're all about New York City.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you know,
but the more people that
doesn't
send out
make
these
sense.
letters from
Right.
all over the
they
country,
need to know you're engaged.
they need to know it's not just one state. They need to know it's not just people in red or blue or purple areas. They need to know it's everybody that
'Cause
wants
we
to have
vote.
choice.
Yes. We vote, and I think that's important. And it's your tax dollars.
Mm.
And do you want to spend $8 billion on an infrastructure that has put up one charging station? If you want an electric vehicle, go get it. You want to put one in a charging station in your home?
Yeah.
Go for
I
it.
have friends that have electric vehicles and they love them, and I'm happy for them because they have something that they like that they drive that
Is that their
works
only
for
vehicle?
like no. Well, sometimes yes. Well, some of them yes, some of them no. It depends. But if it works for you and you want an electric
should have
vehicle,
one.
I have a friend that doesn't drive very far. He goes to the store, he goes to work, he goes home. He doesn't need to go on trips ever.
Then electric car's fine.
Then electric car is perfectly fine.
Oh, you want to go to the airport, take an Uber,
But
get
then,
there, and leave your
gosh,
car home.
you know what?
charge it.
I'm so sorry. I'm going to interrupt for just a moment. We came back from the airport. I picked you up from the airport one day,
Mhm.
and there was a Fisker Ocean sitting at the end of the airport parking lot.
Was it dead?
No, the alarm was going off for 2 days because I had dropped you off at the airport and left.
Right.
And the alarm was going off, and I came back
And
and
the
picked
battery
you up,
was still had enough
and the alarm
juice.
was still going off.
It wasn't going. Oh
Yeah, it was starting to struggle. It was
Struggle.
getting weak.
I'm
which
surprised
means
it made it
that,
2
that-
days.
That car eventually just died
brick.
sitting there. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. We were talking about
probably recharge
Fisker
it.
going out of business.
Yeah.
Well, they'll have to put it on like AAA. Will have to come with a generator,
Oh yeah.
powered by diesel, of course.
Of course.
But Fiskers are being used in New York City, and I was in the city, and they were using them as cabs, and I kind of chuckled.
That's the old Fisker Karmas, right? Or no,
No, the Fisker
oh,
Ocean.
the Fisker Oceans.
Because
Okay.
they had like 9,000 of them left over and they didn't know what to do. So the New York City Transportation Association, which is the taxi cab service, purchased them all.
Again, there's money. There's always money.
There's always money. Said, why would you purchase a car where the car company's out of business? There's no parts.
Mhm.
There's no one to repair it because no one knows anything. And the center screens don't work because that infrastructure's no longer up.
Yep.
I don't understand what moron.
But even
Well,
that,
I have to say, let me correct that. Someone was really good at sales. They were slick
Yes.
because they were able to sell 9,000 cars to New York City that nobody wanted, that they couldn't sell.
Yep.
So I probably helped pay off some of their debt. But what's interesting is the person that sold that's the smart person.
Yes.
The dumb one is someone who works for the New York Transportation Association Authority that purchased all those. Because what are you going to do 3 years down the road or 2 years down the road? Because they get hundreds of thousands of miles on them.
yeah, if the
It's
service
dead.
ever shuts down or
Sorry.
they need service on the batteries, they're screwed.
Well, that's where Redwood Materials comes in. They'll take them and recycle
Again,
them.
follow the money.
Follow the money.
Okay, I can't believe we haven't talked about this before because we've talked about this a bunch of times. We've talked about, there's people that really truly believe in the cause. There's people
Good,
that
go for it.
There's people that want the regulatory control
No.
or even just the mental control. Just believe.
No, it's
having you
control.
believe- Yeah,
It's
well,
power and
well,
control.
whether it's
And money.
whether it's political power, economic power, or whether it's the power to control people through their beliefs,
Right. Okay.
right? oh, this will save us. No, this is a great political move. Or, I don't really love the environment, but it sounds like a good idea, right? Whatever. It doesn't matter. And then we've talked about the money so many times, but we've never said, like, this is a core concept. And we're standing outside today with the brand new Cadillac Escalade, beautiful car, review coming soon on Car Smarts, link down below for that channel.
Yes, and the reel is going to be posted before the review, because that'll be coming up soon.
Good. And we're standing there and going like, it's the money. But of course it's the money. And why have we talked about this before? We need to do a podcast. So,
but it's always the money. And that's what I want you to think about. But whose money is it? It's not like they're just printing it. It's our tax dollars. It's our tax dollars. It's tariff money. It's everything that's coming in from multiple sources. And they're printing money. And all of this creates recession. It creates all kinds of bad economic policy.
It's subsidized. It's the government saying
it's our money.
Yeah,
it's your money.
It's the government saying we want this to be the solution, regardless of what,
if it's good or bad.
Yeah, regardless of which one of those three is the person's motivation. It's one of those. They believe, they want power, or it's all about the money. And they're going to put this into place, and they're going to subsidize these companies that are, or these organizations, or there's some of them are nonprofits, but they're still getting funded. I mean, of course, but it's one of those, and they're all of this money is going out. It's all locked up, and now it's like an Ouroboros. It's the snake eating its own tail.
I like that.
Oh yeah,
snake eating its own tail.
Yes, and you can't separate it anymore. It's not like you can just take one piece out. It's the whole thing all connected together, and
that's why it's such a big project, and that's
why it's so important that Lee Zeldin and Trump are
and everybody else,
moves,
Doug Burgum and Sean Duffy, and I forgot who's in charge of the GAO. Everybody's involved in this.
And that's why it's so important that the waiver gets repealed, because it allows for the market to survive itself. Actual free market economics, shocker, in the U.S. in 2025.
Yeah,
and then it allows you to be able to buy what you want. And the market will follow. If everybody wants EVs, the market will adjust on its own, and individuals, consumers' dollars.
Instead of incentivizing it?
Yes, instead of taking money away from you and putting it towards something that you may or may not want. If people want EVs, the market will show that on its own. It'll take some years.
There's great product out there.
There's some great
There's some really cool stuff.
And there are some cars that we've raved about. There are some electric cars that have won awards, and we think rightfully so.
Right.
And it's really great to see when companies are designing really great stuff. You were just at Korea for the design show?
For the design show for Kia, and they were all electric cars. Is their full EV lineup.
And there was
really cool stuff.
There's some cool stuff that they were coming up.
And then you got the Ioniq line, and you've got
and they even told you that it's like
and
one step away from becoming real production cars.
Yeah, it was really cool experience, and that's also on our Car Smarts channel. And if you want it all in one location, you can find it on my Substack. I also post on Rumble and other places, depending upon where you like to go.
Lots of places you can find us.
I'm everywhere.
Again, all the links down below.
Everywhere.
But the idea is that there are good cars out there that are electric, and people are inspired.
The Rivian is cool, but even cooler is the Lucid.
The Lucids
The Lucids are really cool, and they have long distances, longer than anybody else.
Yeah.
And I think that's neat. And then I was talking to someone at Ford, and we were told that they shelved their electric program that was supposed to beat Tesla. But when I talked to an internal about that, and I won't say any names, they said, no, we folded it into our existing Lightning and Mach-E program.
Which would make sense.
Which would make sense. So they
I don't think those vehicles are selling very well, are they?
No.
Yeah.
And they take a loss on everyone, and a big loss, like $40,000 on each vehicle. So there's no profit.
An electric car costs on average $10,000 more than the average gas car.
$66,000 for an electric car, $50,000 for gas.
Because all the averages are coming up as well.
Right, and the cost of cars there's going to be some incentives. So we talked about the tariffs and all that.
What? Incentives again? Is there money involved?
Of course there's money involved.
So like
always follow the money.
In the last episode, we were talking about electric car companies and other car companies that have collapsed because of bad marketing or bad design or bad leadership, and Slate was the primary topic.
Right.
And they're saying, yes, our car is going to be worth $20,000, but it's
with
not.
a $7,500 tax
That you
credit,
don't
and
get
that's not
until the end of the year.
if you owe a minimum of $7,500, you
Or
will get
more.
the tax credit, right?
There's
But
a lot of people
but if
that
you owe $5,000, you leave $2,500 of
Which means-
tax credit on the table.
exactly
Goes
you're not
away.
getting your money back, and
Goes
there's
away.
no way you are getting a base model truck with no center screen, no speakers, no spare tire, no
Not a lot of cars
electric
don't have-
windows.
Crank. If you remember crank windows, write that down below. I
Yes.
do. My first car was 76 Camaro,
You only
305,
get it
biggest
one
piece
way,
of crap I ever
with
owned.
the cheapest seats, with no options,
Right.
and plastic unpainted panels.
No, they'll put a sticker kit on it for you.
Well, you have
and
to
you
pay for
can
that.
label it. Oh,
That's what I'm
that
saying.
would up the price.
Yeah. Oh, weird. Okay. No. You know what? I think it'd be really nice to have a center screen so I can have Apple CarPlay in the vehicle.
You just put an earpiece.
Okay. Well, then you have to pay for the phone mount. Then. I'm sorry. Did you want a closed cab?
You're right.
You got to pay for that. Sorry. Wait. You wanted paint?
Oh, geez, that's extra.
Oh, jeez. Oh man.
I guess it's actually a creative idea, but what it did show is car makers that they can make more price-friendly vehicles
Man,
for the masses.
if that car, and I said this in the last episode, if that car had an engine in it, a cheap
A
engine,
motorcycle engine.
something really small and economic,
Yeah.
they would sell boatloads of those things.
Sure they would, but they'll probably sell in India.
But again, I brought that up because the only reason the vehicle starting cost is $20,000 is because of the $7,500 tax credit. And
Which
the same
is your
thing-
tax
which is
dollars.
what you had just said,
Mhm.
that yeah, you can get a great electric vehicle and it comes with a tax credit, and of course,
An
follow the money.
incentive, yeah. So you're going to see incentives coming from car manufacturers. We did discuss, and I should give a brief update. There was about 3 million cars that were available that were pre-tariff prices.
Yes.
As of Friday, before we did this, there was 2.8 million. So 200,000 cars were taken off that pre-tariffed inventory. So there's still 2.8 million cars.
And both you and I have been talking about this on the channel, on national television,
Right.
Podcasts. I think you mentioned it on a podcast.
Right.
This is a hot topic because, again, there are vehicles that are available that are not privy to these tariffs. If you're looking for an electric car, if you're looking for a gas car,
Right.
go and buy it now.
Right. Why? Because I think
And of
that
course-
these
and
tariffs
somebody-
will be solved by the time
I
that
do have to
ends.
say, there was a funny comment. I actually laughed, and it said, "There's always a reason for you to buy now." And I'm like, well, yeah, because prices are going to go up.
It's a good sales pitch.
It is a good sales pitch, and I'm not a salesperson, but if you want to buy a car, buy one of these 2.8 million, you said?
Right.
2.8 million
But
cars
that
that are
does
sitting on
not
the lot.
include Porsches, except for maybe like a Macan or a Cayenne sitting on a lot.
Yeah.
If you're ordering either one of those or a 911, because there probably isn't any 911 sitting on a lot, they sell them like that. They're all going up 7%. And every Ferrari, well, even the local Ferrari dealer and the one that's down in Florida that I was at recently, they don't have any inventory. Whatever hits the ground just came in off the boat from Italy, and that means it's going to have a 10% price increase.
And
But-
if it's used, there's no tariff.
right. So that's another thought. You could buy a certified pre-owned.
We
Save
love our
yourself some money.
13-year-old diesels.
Yeah, I'm keeping mine. But
Drive up the Cayenne diesel market.
yeah,
To be fair, actually, there's a
I'm
lot.
not selling mine. I
There's-
don't care.
There's Volkswagen is slowly releasing used diesel vehicles back to
From
the market.
Dieselgate, yeah.
From Dieselgate in I'm forgetting the year now.
That was
2000
2016.
2016.
And how I know that is I
Yeah,
bought my 2016 Cayenne driving home from Bethesda, Maryland, where I purchased it. And I got a call from the dealer going, hey, how do you like your vehicle? I said, I love it. He goes, do you want to sell it back? I said, no, I just got it. I waited months for it to come in.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, good, because we have a diesel stop sale. He goes, I'd love to buy it back.
Well, 'cause
They call me
they
every
s-
year.
Again, they sell the instant they hit the lot.
Right, because they're great vehicles. And it was about 60% of Volkswagen sales, so they really screwed
Yeah.
themselves. But what's interesting is a friend of mine was looking for a diesel Jetta wagon.
Yeah.
You're thinking, where are you going to find that?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Manual, preferably black, but
All-wheel drive.
whatever. Found one in Illinois. He lives here in Buffalo. He flew to Chicago and drove home with it. It's brand new. It had like 100 miles on it.
That's a great car.
Triple black, manual transmission, big glass roof, every option under the sun, and he paid like $12,000 for it. And that had to be a $40,000 vehicle, no extended warranty. You don't get anything.
No.
But they did fix it. It does meet all the emission standards, and they're slowly leaking them because they're sitting all over the place, all over the country, in stadiums that no one's at. There's still quite a few.
And they're
A lot of them.
And to wrap it into the EV conversation, the fuel economy on those diesels are so good.
55 miles to the gallon.
That
He said it was the best vehicle.
that was
still
that
driving.
was our testing. We had an A3 TDI, and the Golf is built on the exact same platform of
Yep.
different bodywork.
Yep.
And we got about 55 miles to the gallon, which is absolutely insane. And even in our Cayennes, which we've both done a slight tune on,
Right, I put a pedal commander on, and they know they're not paying.
and around town, we're both getting like 10 around town and on the highway. We're getting like 10 mpg higher than what if you look it up online, it'll say, oh, here's your average mpg. We're getting about 10 mpg higher than that.
We're getting like 28, and the highway I've gotten as high as 38 on the highway.
I got almost over 40.
Oh, geez. I'm a little lead-footed, I guess.
Well, I remember
I'm driving at high speed.
I think
with
we
a
were going
radar
through a lower
checker.
speed area, but 8th gear at 55 miles an hour, and I just was
You have to
watching
stop to go to the
MPG
bathroom, though.
every
You don't stop for anything else.
every about minute or so, it would go up a tenth, and I
I
was
know.
just watching it go.
I know, it's exciting.
And I was like, and by the time I got home, it was like 39 point something, and it was still going up, and I was like, I'm getting higher than 40 mpg, and it's fast, and it's high enough that
Yeah.
I'm just.
But it's 700 miles on a tank.
That's incredible, absolutely incredible.
So
and
why? Again, this
there
would
are
make
great
people
used
want this.
vehicles out there.
Right, but think about it. If you could take a diesel hybrid, a brand new one, and it got 700 miles on a tank, and it got 70 miles to the gallon like they're talking, or even if it got 500 miles on a tank, that would give you the freedom to go farther, the freedom to get better fuel economy, so it costs you less money, and that is what they don't want. They don't want you to have things that perform better. As a matter of fact, there was
Because they want to restrict your freedom because they want more power,
Right.
or it's because they have too much money tied up in this whole EV mandate nonsense, or it's because they truly believe that you are killing the environment by driving your car down to the local store to pick up your groceries.
Right. And now there's a show I watched called Baseless Conspiracies, and I offered them the Dr. Diesel story.
Oh, what a great story!
But they killed him. And they've also killed the guy who was doing
Well,
the water-powered engine, which
again,
means you could literally
conspiracy.
take half water. It's conspiracy, supposedly, until they
Well,
never found the body.
Every
So
person who has claimed to have built a
water
water-powered car has died, except for one.
one of the guys just died in Buffalo.
Yes,
He actually lived in Buffalo.
That was a couple years ago. Yeah,
Right.
It was a big incident.
I'm not gonna go into
He
that,
was he was one of many people that unfortunately died. But
But it's interesting that that
there's one person left on the internet that claims that there's a water-powered car, and he refuses to show anybody because he knows he's going.
they'll kill him.
Yeah,
They don't want. Could you imagine if we figured this out? We could. Man, I wonder what kind of torque and
don't
horsepower
tell
you get.
anybody.
But that could be cool. Now I know that.
Well, look,
As diesel, we can run on vegetable oil. Just add some kerosene.
back when I
So
was
just
in,
thinking again, all of this. Why?
Yeah.
Why would again back full circle?
follow the money.
Follow the money.
Follow the money.
So we're talking about these states don't want us to have water-powered vehicles because they want to. They want money.
Yeah,
They want
yeah,
tax
if you fill it up
dollars.
with water. How are they going to charge you?
Right? How are they going to know? You can
Well,
get.
And even we just did a story where EVs are now getting, sorry, there's a proposed bill where anybody who buys an EV will have to pay a yearly fee.
$250.
And if it's a hybrid, it's $100. And if it's gas, well, you already
You're
pay
paying
tax
for it already,
gas.
but you're not paying that much.
Yeah.
But if that goes through, and I'm watching that as well, it's already proposed, it's already on the table, it's on the Federal Registry, so I'm watching it. If that goes through, people are going to go, well, wait a minute.
It's
I'm
gonna be
paying
more
$80 more expensive than gas. Gas is on average, person's paying about $80 a year.
Mhm.
So if you're going to charge me an extra $100 because you're going to also pump gas for a hybrid, you're going to charge me $100, which some states already are. I think Pennsylvania is one of them.
Mhm.
Or an
We
electric
have
car.
somewhere. Yeah.
Or an electric car, you're going to charge me $250. That's more than I would have had if I had a gas-powered vehicle. And now you're taking away the advantage of purchasing an electric car.
Mhm.
So I'm not saying I don't like electric cars. I'm saying you should be able to choose what you want. But in taxing you for the supposed roads and bridges,
And there's
let's
and
be
there's other
honest.
ways to do
Let's
that.
be honest. We live in New York State. I was just in Michigan. I was all over the
roads are
country.
terrible.
The roads are terrible. And we have a story coming out very soon on the bridges and how unsafe they are
Mhm.
because they're not getting the funding to repair them.
Mhm.
Instead, we're doing a lot of silly things.
Yeah, we have bridges that were built, 100 years ago and haven't been touched. I'm being dramatic, but even bridges that were built in the 70s that are collapsing.
Right, and they're collapsing because they've never been maintained.
Yeah.
Because they claim they don't have enough money from the gas taxes.
Yeah.
But the question is, it's infrastructure.
Mhm.
Those are shovel-ready projects, as Obama used to say.
Follow the money.
Follow the money. Wow, that just keeps coming back, doesn't it? Follow the money.
But
Somebody's brother-in-law is making a lot of money.
we keep reminding us each
It-
other as we keep going, and
but
it's deep. And
This whole thing should be called Follow the Money, because the money is all these states, they're going to go after President Trump. And we want to make sure that whatever we undo as far as legislation, rules, congressional review acts, that it can't be put back into place down the road.
Yep.
And the only way that happens is we have to remove the California waiver, which this is why you need to get a hold of your representatives. And we need to take the power away from the California Air Resources Board. If California wants to make rules for themselves, great. But don't make the other 49 states follow their rules, because it costs all of us whether we want it or not.
Yep. Well said.
Thank you.
And these states, it's crazy that they've stood up and done this, and a lot of them are more liberal leaning, and it's
I don't care where your politics are.
and well, hold on, and it does matter for one very particular reason, because that then means that those senators and representatives in the House are going to be voting for keeping this bill in place. Or
No, it was bipartisan.
not everybody.
Converted in the House. You're not going to get everyone on anything.
No, but the follow up to that is there are going to be representatives and senators from those states that are going to want to introduce a bill after, because we know that this bill's going to be rescinded. It's just the waiver's going to be rescinded.
Sooner the better.
How long is it going to take? It's going to happen eventually, but
Yep.
it will happen.
There'll be pressure. It's coming.
We see the writing on the wall, and the expert analysis from us and from people,
Many others.
many other experts from different energy and politics and whatnot. They all agree it's going away. It's only a matter of when it's actually gonna happen.
Manufacturers already know it. They're well aware.
And they're already preparing for it.
Yep.
And
The product planners are working 5 to 10 years ahead, and they're well aware of it. I have these conversations, as they say, off the record.
but if these senators and congressmen introduce a bill to reintroduce a waiver, because that's the only way that this gets put back in place now that it's officially a rule, the Congress, I believe,
impossible.
has to be able to say, hey, we're going to reintroduce a bill. You need to know what your senators and representatives stand for.
That's why every vote is counted and shown as part of this rule change.
And that's why I bring this up, is because the senators and representatives from these states that tend to, and liberal states tend to agree with things related to like the Green New Deal and things like that. And so they're probably going to want to put this rule back into place. So you need to know whether or not your senators and representatives are on the left or on the right. You need to know
where they
stand.
There's a few that cross over.
That's true. You need to know where they stand on things like this, because this is directly impacting your freedom to be able to go where you want, when you want, how you want, and buy what you want in the way that you want, well, mostly.
With your money.
With your money, exactly.
Yep, I agree. Well said.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I guess on that note, we've invented enough.
I hope that we've gotten to the root of it, and we've explained it in a way
Bottom
that makes
line
sense and was
is,
fun. Follow the money.
Money.
You
Show
catch-
me the money.
A new catchphrase. Put it on the wall.
Yeah, we should put it right here. Follow the money.
Yeah. So if you enjoyed this conversation, if you have anything to add to the conversation, we'd absolutely love to hear what you
We
have
want
to
to
say.
hear your thoughts.
I'm sure that we fired you up at least once or twice about this conversation.
I'm sure there'll be good comments.
Put your comments down below, and let's get the conversation rolling about what you think, whether you think we're wrong, whether you think that we're right, what your beliefs may be on the topic.
Right.
And
And we both are going to be checking the comments.
Yep, we always do. And as well as that, always check the links in the description down below to see all the great stuff that we're doing on Car Coach Reports and Car Smarts. Plus, you can follow us on social media.
I'm everywhere at Lauren Fix. Literally, I'm on Twitter. Please follow. I want to see if we can break their little block on my algorithm here. Instagram, of course, we'll be posting under Car Coach reports, and literally, you name the website, the app will be there.
And I'm at PaulFix3. You can find me primarily on Instagram. I try to share some stuff on Twitter or X here and there. It's going to take a long time. I was there when it launched. So, yeah, we post stuff there, and of course, make sure to like, subscribe, share with your friends who you think might need a dose of truth in their life.
Ooh, and if you'd like to support our channel, you can buy me a cup of coffee or buy us a cup of coffee. The link for that is down below.
Yeah,
as well
look
as
at
all
us.
the links.
We're drinking flavored water. We need coffee.
Yeah, I could use a real good coffee, like an
Real good
espresso. I've become a coffee snob. We need a coffee sponsor. Maybe we should find one.
I have some ideas.
Okay.
Figure it out.
All right.
If you know somebody, let us know.
Yes, please. We like your
Anyway,
support
thank you so much for watching.
and your time. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. And we'll see you next time.